Welcome back. We're going to do a really cool fly called the two-feather fly, but before I do it, I want you to know that I do not have chicken pox, I'm not a leper, and no, Johnny didn't kick my butt. I went to Dr. Fix Your Skin, and he made sure I didn't have cancer, so I look like an effluent. But anyway, today we're going to talk about this fly called the two-feather fly. This fly, I call it the two-feather because that's what I first heard it called. I think I saw an article about it too in the early 70s, but I saw this fly first on West Grand Traverse Bay in Michigan, I think in 1969, might have been 70, and they were fishing for these fish called the Seneca brook trout. They were a hybrid brook trout. It's basically a big drake pattern. The first one I saw was like this. It was maybe even a little bigger. This is on a 14, but I think it was a 12 or a 10, and they fished them for the drakes, and basically it was a searching pattern. It shows up. It's a really cool fly. The cool thing about this thing, I've got one here on the left of my vise is an adaptation, and I do about 4 or 5 different adaptations to this body style, and that's what we're going to learn to do today. It's basically, I'm just going to show you how to do this body tail set, which is, it's one and the same. It's the same feather. But the key to this thing is that its tail is always out of the water. This thing, the tail never sits down. And you can see it spins a really nice silhouette here. It gives you the body shape and the tail. The wings are always just a little bit long because it's hard to, you can fight it and get them just right, or you can trim them up. And on the one I do second, I'm going to do 2 styles. I'm going to do a spinner style, and I'll trim that wing. But you can see it's just got this really cool little tail sticking back here. Super light, floats forever, not real durable. I mean, you could coat it if you wanted to. It's still going to fall apart. But like I said, it's a super fast fly. So I'm going to do the first one that I tied or saw way back when. Like I said, I was 10, 11 years old. And the fly was tied on a mustad. And I can't remember the name of the hook. The number, not really relative because I don't even know if we can get it anymore. But it was an up-by hook, and it was a short shank. And I like to do mine on a short shank hook. I like to use, actually, I like these 1250s. It's a continuous, this is a nymph hook, right? And again, I beat on this a lot. It doesn't matter. It's a standard wire hook. Just because somebody says it's a nymph hook doesn't mean anything. It's just, as long as you're not going an extra heavy or something like that, it's not going to hurt it. And then that's what I'm going to tie this first one on, because that was traditional. Second one I'm going to do is on 1110. I like ring eye hooks on my dries, and just whatever you want. I like the shorter shank hook, so that's why I like these 1250s. They've got that, they're just a little bit shorter. Hook hangs down down the water, which kind of accentuates the fact that the tail's up and the tail's up and the hook is down. But so I'm going to use Roman Mauser Power Silk 10-aught. We got that, and really there's nothing else to it. Flank feather and hackle. And the one I'm going to do after that is just going to have a little deer hair. So we're going to start this thing at the halfway point, and I'm going to take my thread back to the halfway point. I'm going to leave room for my eye. Come back here, go to the halfway, and then I'm going to come forward just a little bit. Then we're going to take a Mallard flank, and I'm going to do this with 2 different style feathers. You can use any body feather, like you could use gadwalls, you can use hen mallards, you can use whatever you want. If you know somebody's hunting, you see people. I don't particularly like to do this with wood duck. The flank's a little flimsy, and it doesn't quite give me the body. If you like it, I've seen people do them. You got to get really short feathers, and it's a good use for the feathers that, like we do a lot of the cougar packs and different longer fly or feather styles for the streamers, and these are worthless for that, but they're perfect for what we're going to do. It's a good wing set. So I'm going to take one of these, and this will be the most complicated thing to the fly, is finding the right feather. And there's no way to explain that to you. You just have to go in and find color first, and then when I show you how to set this feather, you'll see how certain ones are too long, certain ones are too short, just you don't quite get the body you want. But it only takes 2 or 3 flies and you'll have it set up just how you like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to strip most of this stuff off, most of the feather. And the first thing you want to see is you want a nice straight shaft down that feather. You don't want one side longer than the other. But the key to this fly is that right there. It's that radius that comes up. So its hind end is sticking out of the water, and the tails, which you'll see in a second, are going to be part of the body. So it's real easy. So I'm going to strip this back until I get about where I think my wing sets. And then you got to make sure, just look at them, just real softly. I take my thumb and my forefinger and hold most of it, try to get this up, and then just softly pull that feather back like this. And what you're trying to do is get even on each side right here. And there you go. There's the body right there. Is that perfectly in line? I hope so. So it's right here, and you can see that's going to be my body. So I'm going to switch hands here, and you're going to see that's where, this is the complicated part. Right here, when you're going to have the wings, you're going to be a little bit long. But if you look at today's standard of wing is so much shorter than it used to be. Look at any of the European style feathers or flies. I mean, their wings are always way longer than ours are. So this is kind of it seems longer than it should be, but again, you can always trim this stuff out. So, I mean, it's not like it's going to adversely affect your fly. It might not look as good as you'd like because it won't be the tips, but you can trim them. So I'm going to come in here, and I've just lightly stroked this feather back so I've got a nice body. I leave this stem in here, right here, because I'm going to split the wings a little bit with it. And then I'm going to pull this. I'm going to just get it set. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to give this 1, 2 turns. And what I'm going to try to do is pull this back so it's just a little tight right there. I've got wax on that thread. I'm going to pull that back, and I'm going to try to keep that body relatively thin width-wise. I don't want it to be really bulky at any point. So I'm going to pull this back, and you just got to say, okay, that's where I want my, and that's just what you want, all right? Where do you want it? Don't let that slide like that. So then I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to split these wings just a little bit, making sure that they're where I wanted them to start with. Just look things over, set that wing in there. Now I've already got this, has already kind of split the wings for me when I hold that stem. So you don't have, you can tie that back if you want. I'm not going to. I'm just going to come in here. And now what I have to, this is the original, the OG. I haven't seen one of these probably since '75. And so it's not like, I always get music. All right, it's not like there's anything to compare it to. I don't know if you'll ever see one of these again. You'll see some people, the style, like the Hatchmatcher uses this tail in its fly. But it's not the 2-feather. This is the original. So what we're going to do, we're going to end up with 2 turns of hackle, maybe 3 at the outside, 2 in back, 2 in front. So I'm looking to see that I have equal space here. So I can set that hackle right. Then I'm just going to come in, and we're going to form a semi-V right there, lifting them up. And we're going to have room to tie in. So I got room for the back. I'm going to tie in 2 turns of hackle and 2 in front. Super simple, right? So we're going to come in here, make sure that stem's not in my way, which it is a little bit. Make sure your wings are setting up. They are. Now we're going to take a hackle. And again, this hackle should be a little bit longer, like 1 to 2. If you're using a hackle gauge, 1 to 2 times bigger than normal, than what it says. And so I've got a pretty big hackle here, and I'm going to tie this hackle in backwards of what I normally do. Most of my videos, I like the convex or shiny side to the right. On this one, I'm going to do it to the left because I want the hackle to kind of sit forward, only because that's how I first saw it tied. I don't know if the first guy that did it, the first one that I saw, the guy that gave me one, if he didn't know how to tie, and that's how it was, but it was a pretty well-tied fly, and the hackle was to the kind of facing forward, a little bit more Catskill style, and so I'm going to do that. I'm going to come in here from the bottom, catch this, do the same thing we always do a figure 8 right there, 2 turns, and then just set our hackle. This is going to move a little bit on me. Get that out of the way and just move forward. Now we're going to, as you know, I always say I like the hackle going the other way, but it doesn't, you'll figure this out, however you want it to do it. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to make 1 there's a one complete turn. I'm going to hold that body, the tail and body, and I'm going to give that just tighten it down. Okay, one, so that would be my second one right there. And then I'm going to come forward, just keeping it nice and clean. I'm going to give this one 3 turns in front because I thought it looked a little light right there. So now we're going to have, for all of you people who don't like to see a long fly, this has got to be the world's record short fly for us. Don't worry, I'll talk about something. So now I'm going to come in here, clean this up, give it a 3-turn head. Did that without my cheaters, which isn't easy. I have no idea what this fly looks like between you and me. All right, so now I've got this long, the wings are kind of long. That's kind of traditionally about the length that they were. This could get complicated for blind boy here. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to separate these tails right there. Try not to cut your tail off. Give me you. So I got a pair of tails back there. So as you can see, this is, I mean, it's a really cool fly. You can see the key to this thing is its tail is always up. The tail's sitting up, and if you look at mayfly, their tails are very seldom in the water. Their abdomen, it's usually got a slight radius to it, and their tails are sticking up out of the water. And that's what this does. I mean, it's so perfectly body shaped. You can see the silhouette is so clean. Is that good for all those views right there? It's just, and that's the key right there. Is that, and if you wanted to come in and trim that wing off, go for it. I mean, just to make it the same length, I don't care. I think we take way too much time on that. You can also trim this out. The original ones I saw weren't trimmed out, but you could if you wanted to keep that laying flat in the water. Its abdomen will still stick out of the water. Again, it's a really cool silhouette, and it floats forever, but this isn't a durable fly. But again, if we weren't shooting, if I wasn't talking so much, you could set that thing and do it, and you'd probably be done in about 3 minutes, maybe. I don't know. If you're good, you'd probably do it in 2. So now I'm going to do an adaptation of this. And again, that's what I'm trying to get at. This is such a versatile body and tail style that you can adapt this to a ton of different fly situations. And so I've switched over now. I'm going to do a ring eye hook, and I've got a 11-10 ring eye right here. I don't really care what hook. This is a longer shank hook than I prefer. I like a 1 extra short on a lot of them. That's why I use that 1250, because the overall body, because the hook's hanging down. But this is one I fish probably more than anything. I mean, in the past, I always use this ring eyes. It fishes great. It's just, you just got to figure out which hook you like. As long as it's a standard wire hook, you're great. So now I'm going to switch over, and I'm going to go from traditional mallard flank, the still Drake mallard, and all I'm going to show you is the color. And these are the darker. This is like up in the shoulder. It's at the end of the wing coverts and the mantle, the top of the shoulder, and it's kind of basically right there. They're just a little darker. You can find these in packs of dubbing. This is just, I like the looks of it. It's nothing more than that. And what I really like about this is because this is the fly that I tie, on this particular fly and this style, I do a lot for calibatus for lake fishing. And this has a darker, when we tie in the wings, it's going to be slightly darker, and they're pretty variegated. They're pretty striped, right? And so it's just a little closer to what I like to do for my calibatus. And again, you can get these feathers dyed in about any color you want. So same thing here. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to set this thread. I'm going to be just slightly forward of the halfway point. And this one's going to have a wing. So this is an adaptation. It's actually going to have a little hackle, or little dubbing on it, just because I wasn't happy with the original, which was probably as good as anything. So now I'm going to take this, just nice and easy, just stroke those back until you get even, so they're even on each side. And again, look at this, that you have enough here to make a wing that you like. And that's totally up to you. If you don't want a wing, it doesn't have to be that thick at all. But we're going to use that as the, this is going to be a spinner done. This is going to be this is the found length version of this fly. I just had those weren't quite right. So I'm going to come in here, stroke that back just nice and gently. We're going to get a nice clean body. Don't rush that too much right now. Just kind of get that back there so you get a nice clean body. Come in, cinch it down, 2 turns. Now pull that with your right hand and just tighten things up until you see, like right there, I just screwed it up. I pulled with my right hand and my left hand, I loosened up just a little bit, and I had these loose. And so just back it up. Just come in here, get it again. Nice loose turn around the top, and just cinch it down. Make sure it's on the top. Good, right there. So now I'm going to tighten that down just a little bit. Come in, and this is kind of a critical point right here, that you look to see that you have, when I split the wings with this thing, that I've got even wings, but also that your placement is right. Make sure that your feather, you have room for the front, for your thorax, excuse me. So I'm going to come in here, split that, and again, you're going to see these are too long for an actual wing. Don't worry about it. We're going to cut it off. This one we're going to trim. So now I'm going to come in here, split these, make sure they're kind of close. I'm not sure I can finish this fly without real glasses. I'm working, trying. Now on this particular one, I don't put, if you wanted to throw a hackle in this, you could. I get a little bit of a shorty here. That's the tip. That's some of the other ones. I'll leave it. It'll be all right. So now I'm going to come in here. I'm a little bit far forward than where I wanted to be, or back, I mean. Just fix that real quick. Just want to be a little bit more forward. I was about 2 turns of thread back of where I wanted to be. Okay, there we go. So, wings set nice. I'm going to take a little bit of, again, this one has 2 extra steps, and it's still, if you were just going, it's not a 5-minute fly, I can assure you. So I'm just finishing this dubbing. I'm just getting this thorax just slightly thicker than it would be on the traditional without it. I'm just coming in here, just giving a nice figure 8, building a little bulk to that. We're going to come in here, and this is going to be the found length style, so it's going to have a hair wing. So basically, just like before, we've got the abdomen, the tail, we've got the wing set. Now I just built a little bit of bulk into it, a little bit more realistic. We're going to put a wing on it. This is going to be a found length style wing. And this is short fine deer here. And like I said, if you wanted to put a hackle in there, you could. I don't really think you need it. There's no, between the wings sitting down, and these are that darker wing, between that and the little bit of hair that kind of sits down when you do a found length style, you got plenty of going on there. And I'll show you a couple other adaptations of this in a second here when I put this wing on. But I don't really think you're saving or adding anything to the fishing wise to this fly if you put a hackle on it. So I want this wing to be, about the overall body length. Come in here, cut it nice and square. Spin your thread to the right. Get that hackle back there. Come in here, 1, 2 turns, pull it. Now we get a nice bulbous little head. Done. Get her wings back. This is whenever you do a found link, it's a done spinner combo. So this is just so you can see it. That's there. And now we're going to have these, and again, there's a few hairs here and there. You can go in and trim them out, leave them for legs, whatever you want. And so if you look, you'll see this is nice dark. The variegation of these wings are nice and dark. If you want to come in and hit the tips of them, just shape them up a little bit to length. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to hurt the floatability or any of that stuff. And so now we're going to come in, and I generally do this last, as I come in and I just take a bodkin and I try to pick out. I usually actually leave two feathers, the fibers off the side. Just come in and pick them out. 1, 2, if you got 3, whatever. So just pick those out so you got a set of tails. Come in and just go right between them and cut that feather off. And so now you've got these 2 very beautiful tails sticking back there. And what you're going to see is he's sitting up in the air, right? You can, and again, he's not that, this isn't a durable, because of this, it's not that durable a fly. You get 3-4 fish usually out of it before something happens, but it's a quick fly. Even with that extra 2 steps there, you can see that it's a really quick fly. I've got my wings off to the side or legs. They're good imitation. You know, either way, you can go in and trim it up. It's got a great lower profile. The key to this fly, though, is that right there. Those things sticking up in the air is money. And so this is just another couple. This is an adaptation. Same thing, has a spinner wing. This one right here is a kind of a cool, this is a smaller one. This one has the Rowan Neiman's cripple style wing. It's a Comparadon wing, you know, with the antron, and then it's got the little bases sticking out the back. And again, gives you everything that they do. Just another way to do it. It's a really fun body set, and it's a very cool looking, you know, body set and tail set. As you can see, this is a particularly great fly when you have lake drakes. Anything that's a bigger drake, this is a really, really cool fly. Hope you liked it. Hope it helps you out.